Mr. Charco here, and today we're going to be going over one of the members of the league. It is the Toronto Typlosions, and coach is Phoenix. And Phoenix, out of everyone in the league, I've been talking to Phoenix a little bit, and we've been kind of touching base on how we feel about teams and our team and stuff, and picking each other's brains. And as of right now, it was nice to kind of gauge someone else's opinion on things. As the season progresses, obviously we won't talk as much just because you don't want to give away too much of your strategy to someone else, right? But basically, we're gonna go over his team, and he has a pretty good team. We're gonna go over what's really good about it. We're gonna go over any possible weaknesses, any big issues that I may see, and then we're gonna go over how maybe some ways he could improve his team. So immediately as I look at the team, first thing I looked at is the speed tiers, and he has actually some really good speed tiers, really good actually. His Ferrothorn, Amoonguss, and Quagsire are all good for that Trick Room potential. The only thing that I will say is he doesn't seem to have a good, really good Trick Room setter. I know Cresselia gets Trick Room, and I believe that's all that gets Trick Room on his team. So, even Cresselia, her speeds, let's see, it's base 85. So you won't, if you're setting up Trick Room with Cresselia, it won't be for her to take advantage of it unless the opponent's team is just super fast. But then you look at his fast mons. He's got Mega Pidgeot, which is one of the fastest mons in the draft, and it has no guard ability, which is really good. And also, not only was Mega Pidgeot a good value pick for him, it also gave him 40 points towards to spend on better Pokemon, where he was able to get basically, I believe Amoonguss was a tier 2 or tier 3. He basically got Amoonguss and Dragonite, very threatening Pokemon, for his last 2 picks, and that's crazy. So so immediately I see he values a lot of bulk. He's got a lot of Pokemon that can take some hits, and the speed tiers, like I said, is really good. The biggest thing though, right? A lot of his heavy hitters are in the mid range, like the 71 to 90 or the 91 to 110. But what's good about that is he has Whimsicott, who has access to Chlorophyll, Infiltrator, and Prankster, and Prankster being the best ability there. What that allows Whimsicott to do is be one of the best support Pokemon in the format, and what it can do, it obviously has Defog, which you're not typically going to run Defog with Whimsicott, but it is possible. And basically with Whimsicott, you're going to want to set up that Tailwind, and that gives every single Pokemon on your team, it doubles their speed for, I believe, 4 turns. So you can Whimsicott out, you can send Whimsicott out, set up Tailwind, and then you can, I believe it gets U-turn, and you can get out of there, and you can go and send in one of your, say, Mammo, and you can have a choice banned Mammo, and you can just obliterate anything that comes in, and that is very scary. For hazard setters, obviously he has Ferrothorn, which is one of the best hazard setters and one of the best defensive mons in the format. It's even better on a Trick Room, and it does however have the huge weakness to fire. And so if he's trying to lead Ferrothorn, I feel like he's not really able to lead Ferrothorn. So Ferrothorn is going to be one of those Pokemon that you set up hazards later in the game, right? He does have Quagsire, and he also has a Entei. And I guess even Dragonite too can switch into those fire attacks. Cresselia maybe too. But for the most part, I feel like that is somewhat of a weakness. He doesn't have, obviously he can do screens to support Ferrothorn. Earthquake's good for Ferrothorn. And this helps with Ferrothorn as well. But I feel like having a strong fire type is very helpful for Ferrothorn, especially since he didn't go the rain route. So if I was him, I would definitely look towards Rain, or I would look toward getting a really strong, obviously he has this strong fire type, so I guess that's true, but even still, 85 defense, 75 special defense, he needs Cresselia to set up that. I would like to see maybe a better lead, so possibly set up Stealth Rock spikes or hazards in general. Now, if the opponent doesn't have a very pressuring fire type, then you can leave Ferrothorn. But if they have a pressuring fire type, obviously you're going to have that disadvantage. And then if you look down here at his core, he obviously is lacking a lot of He's got 3 grass types. Now, all 3 of these grass types do something different. You could argue that Amoonguss and Ferrothorn kind of do the same things. They're both kind of tanks. But Amoonguss is really good because it has Regenerator and Effect Spore, and then it can Spore and put enemies to sleep. And then Ferrothorn's good just because it's really hard to just break. So I think that between those 2, he could bring 1 special and 1 defensive, and that would be a really good pivot. And he would have to build around to where he knows, like, hey, they might have a good fire type. Let me benefit from that. So that's definitely good in that aspect. Other than that, let's see what his weaknesses are. So like I said, he has 5 weaknesses to fire. Which like I said, it's fire is very strong in general. But usually a lot of them, they don't take a lot of hits, fire types. So it's like ice where you can kind of combat it. And he does have the 4 weaknesses to ice, but in general, you probably won't see him bring all 4 of these Pokemon in one showcase. But if I'm prepping against him, I'm gonna definitely be bringing fire and ice coverage moves. So, other than that, though, his typings are really good. He has that slight weakness to fighting. So maybe like if he had a ghost type to absorb that, that would be good. Maybe like a Chandelure. If I don't know if it's picked or not, but that's a ghost fire. And it can set Trick Room as well. Like I say, still not the best Trick Room, but Draft League, you're all about versatility. So I would like to see that maybe. That would be really good. But let's look over like what his game plan would be, right? So clearly, it says Levitate. So he's got a good ground immunity there. He's got a ground immunity here. So both of these Pokemon benefit Magnezone, and they also benefit Ferrothorn. Basically, a water type is not going to want to face his team. He's really strong against water types with Magnezone and Ferrothorn, and he's also very strong against steel types because he can trap them with Magnet Pull. And he has, so like, steel and water Pokemon are 2 of the bulkiest mons, and he's very good. He has very good potential of breaking those. So that's very good as far as that goes. Cresselia is very much a Pokemon that you want to have support everything with screens or whatever else. But with 75 special attack, 70 attack, you can run a Calm Mind, or you can run a set that's going to set up, and you can make a pretty good setup Cresselia. And so it definitely is threatening in some way. But for the most part, you're going to see it be supportive. Mamoswine is somewhat of a glass cannon, but it is definitely one of the strongest glass cannons. And Ground and Ice are arguably one of the best offensive dual typings ever, right? Because think about it, Ground hits a lot of things really hard, and everything that Ground doesn't hit, Ice hits as well. So you can't ever go wrong with Mamoswine, and for some reason, this big old bulky Pokemon has 80 base speed, which is really good, and it gets even better under Tailwind. So on a normal day, you'll see Ferrothorn maybe lead, or even Cresselia lead to set up screens. Then you bring in Ferrothorn, set up hazards, force something out, or force something in. Then you could see him swap in to Entei to pressure something out, and then set up Tailwind, Whimsicott, and then he can basically, like I said, bring in Choice Band, Mamoswine. And there's just nothing you can do about that. You're going to lose like 1 to 2 Pokemon. And that's very scary. It's very good. I definitely like that a lot. Then let's keep going down. So like I said, he does have a normal type. Sorry. So yeah, he has a normal type here. Like I said, I still would like to see maybe a ghost type, because ghost is very important. There's also I think there's a Alolan Marowak still available as well. That's another Pokemon that could be very, very strong under Trick Room. And Thick Club, Flare Blitz, Rockhead, Alolan Marowak is very strong. And then also it does have Lightning Rod, and I forget what the other ability is. But I mean, it's a very strong Pokemon. So that's another way he could look to go if he wants to try to take advantage of Trick Room, because he is going to be able to outspeed things with the Tailwind. But I definitely think he needs to address that fire weakness. Then you go on from there. Look down here. So he doesn't have the best hazard control in the world. Obviously, you can run heavy duty boots on Dragonite or Whimsicott, but Whimsicott's not a bulky Pokemon, and Dragonite, you don't really want him to be your defogger. Now, don't get me wrong. He's got that 4 times weakness to ice, but he does have multi-scale. But you want to take advantage of his monster attack stat. And if it's me, I try to get a bulky defogger or rapid spinner. Now, I don't know. Does Ferrothorn get... Ferrothorn may get rapid spin. Ferrothorn. go to Cerebi real quick. I should have looked at this beforehand, but it's all right. So let's see if it gets Rapid Spin. I doubt it does because it's a Slowmon, but it might get it. Yeah, so it does not. It does get Gravity though. That's cool. Yeah, so it doesn't get Rapid Spin. So I would maybe, if I was him, I'd try to get a Rapid Spinner because they're typically more bulky, or just get a bulkier Defogger. And another thing that would fit that mold, he doesn't have a Dark type. Mandibuzz comes to mind, and that gives him another really strong tank. It does give him another Ice type weakness, so maybe Skarmory. I don't know. There's so many options, and then there's a Fire weakness too. Yeah, so it's one of those things where if hazards become an issue for him, he needs to definitely think about that. And if he doesn't want to go Defog route, he could try to go Magic Bounce, because there's plenty of Psychic types that can set Trick Room and do Magic Bounce. So then that takes care of two birds with one stone, so to speak. So that I really like the Mamoswine on his team. I think Entei is a very strong Fire type Pokemon. It's pretty bulky. 115 HP is good. 100 base speed is ridiculous. This is basically just a more powerful Arcanine. And then Inner Focus and Pressure. He could run Pressure in a bulky set, and he could basically make a Pokemon run out of moves, and that's good. So this is a good. This could be a potential in-game sweeper. Dragonite also is the other potential in-game sweeper, but other than those two, he doesn't really have any in-game sweepers. But both of those are very strong in-game sweepers, especially when you limit what your opponent is going to have against you. And then he goes for more of the value picks after Magnezone. So I feel like Pidgeot was a value pick, but it was a good value pick. Quagsire, can't go wrong, because if someone's setting up on you, you throw in a Quagsire unaware and you can knock it out. Also, it gives you that water absorbability, and it's also obviously the immunity to electric. And I don't think he has very many grass weaknesses. Yeah, so this is a good pick, in my opinion. Gastrodon, Seismitoad, and Quagsire are all very good Pokemon, and you can't go wrong with having them because they have one weakness. Obviously, the Freeze Dry can be an issue, because that kind of turns the tide a little bit, right? But other than that, Quagsire was a good pick. Whimsicott, I think, was probably my favorite pick, because up to that point, he had kind of just mid-tier Pokemon speed. I think Whimsicott is arguably his most valuable pick. Only thing that sucks too, though, is if he ever faces like a really bulky dragon, he has to rely on Mamo, Dragonite, and or Whimsicott to take it down, and all three of those somewhat are less bulky, and so I could maybe see an issue if he has to go up against a really bulky dragon. But he's got enough. I think he's got enough, like with Cresselia, to really help boost that. Sawk is actually one of the most slept on fighting types. I think fighting types are those Pokemon where like they all kind of do the same thing, right? So it's smart to not waste a lot of points on a fighting type. And Sawk is really good, right? Because it's got the 125 base attack. It also very much benefits with the Tailwind. And I think he has it designated as a Z mover. He does have it designated as a Z mover. And that's good, because if he throws this on, he only has to bring it 3 or 4 times in his battles, and you're gonna know that this thing has Sturdy more than likely, or even Mold Breaker, and Inner Focus is viable as well. But I think the big thing here is Sturdy. Basically, he's guaranteed, as long as you have no weather up or anything, he is guaranteed to be able to use his Z move on you. And well, I think he is guaranteed, because even afterwards it takes effect after them. So if he can bring in this on a clean switch, and he's gonna hit something really hard. And I don't think you can really put you can't really speak about how powerful that would be. Now, obviously, all the other stats are just kind of 75 base speed. 75 special defense, 75 defense, 75 HP. I think that's all average. 85 base speed is above average slightly, but special attack doesn't matter. So it's, as far as everything else, it's a average Pokemon. But with the way that he has potential to use it, it's going to be an above-average Pokemon. Amoonguss, like I said earlier, it's really good. Like, it could be with Ferrothorn. You could have one special, one physical. But I feel like it's probably the odd man out of the group, and I think he knows that too. And the good thing about Amoonguss is I believe it was 140 points. So he can get some really good Pokemon with Amoonguss. So he could even like say he wants to get rid of Quagsire or even Sock. He can basically add those 2 points together and get instead of having one low tier and one high tier, he can get 2 mid tier Pokemon that complement everything on his team so well. And I think that that's really good. If I'm him and I am looking to go that direction, I definitely keep a slow Pokemon and it's like a less than 30 speed. And then I also try to go for either one in Ante's speed, so 91 to 110, or the 31 to 50 or 51 to 70. The worst tier is probably the 60s because you're just like in the middle. You're not the slowest or the fastest. But Magnezone is such a good Pokemon that it doesn't. The speed tier obviously sucks, but it is able to go either direction. And with Tailwind, I feel like once he gets that Trick Room, he'll be able to really. I think it's kind of funny that Magnezone is right in the middle because it is literally like the in the middle Pokemon. Like, is it going to be a slow Magnezone or is it going to be a fast Magnezone? And I think that's a good way for him to really take advantage because Magnezone is one of the hardest hitting Pokemon on his team. And to me, it's almost like the opposite of Mamoswine. Like you have your physical attacker and then you have your special attacker. And I think that these two should definitely be his 2 biggest offensive outputs. And they do share that ground weakness. But like I said, with the screens and with some other support, he could definitely take advantage of that. And then Dragonite, I love that this is the last pick. It really brought the team together, gave him another ground immunity. And Dragonite, like I said, the 134 attack, which I believe is the highest attack on his team. Let me just go through. I'm like 99% sure. Yeah, so it's literally the highest attack on his team. And then it has 100 special attack on top of that. The biggest thing here is it's 600 base stats. And the worst thing about Dragonite is 4 times weakness to ice. And then the speed is only 80 compared to other dragons that are usually faster. But like I said, Tailwind, Whimsicott is going to scare out dragons because it's his fairy, and then he can bring the sucker in and he's good to go. I think that's very scary. Going to be very good with the Dragon Dance or whatever setup he wants to run. And he could sweep with Dragonite for sure. It's going to be definitely interesting to see what he does in week 1. He'll be competing I believe over the weekend, and I do think he has a good team. I'm not gonna go over his matchup and stuff. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, overall, I give his draft a B+. I think that it has a very good core. I think that you see what he's good at and what he doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses. And the best part is he still has all 4 of his free agent transactions. So he can always fix it, and it can always figure out what's wrong. But for the most part, every single one he picked has a role to fill, and they all fill the role rather well. And you can even see here, just based on this this draft planner, it gives him an 84 of 100, and that's really good. This isn't the best score thing in the world. The best part about this thing is if you fill out every type, it'll give you like that it wants you here. It'll give you like, so if he had a dark and he had a ghost type, he would likely be like 92 or so. But yeah, I'd say B+. I really like the bulk here, the offensive potential, the Tailwind. I would just like to see some form of Trick Room, or at least a way to counter Trick Room, because I feel like if I was facing his team, I would want to run a slow fire type or a slow ice type, and would just probably hurt him a lot. But other than that, like I said, B+, great team, Phoenix. I look forward to seeing what you do to improve it, and I think that you have a very good chance to be one of the best teams in the league. So yeah, let me know if you think I hit it on the nose with what your game plan is for a lot of Pokemon. Obviously, I don't know exactly what you're thinking. There's gonna be some sets that you got in the back of your head that you're waiting to pull out, but I can understand where you're coming from for each pick, and I think that you did a good job. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.